We met not under strange circumstances, but pleasant circumstances. This was at a concert. Buffalo Philharmonic had Pops concerts years ago, and that's where we met. Actually, then after the concert, there was always a dance in the Mary Seton Room at Kleinhans Music Hall.
And it was my green dress that attracted him.
That did it.
He fell apart.
Yeah. Green's been my color since. And that's
that was in 1948?
I guess.
40?
That's too far back.
Yeah, it was 1948.
Yes. 65 plus about 3 or 4. It's about 69 years ago.
Yeah, and then you went back to school, you went back to college, and then we used to correspond.
Right. I was home after the first year of college.
Yeah.
And then I had to go back.
And then your dad got sick, so you had to quit college.
Yeah.
And then you came home to stay, and that's when we started dating seriously.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, that was what started 2-3 years ago. Just blossomed out and mushroomed.
I remember on the first date you said, "Will your mother let you go out?" I said, "My mother."
You didn't have to tell him that. But it was true. I was a nerdy type.
But then we got married in 1950, and we worked around together. You worked at Westinghouse, and I worked somewhere at Remington Rand.
We got married in June of 1950, and I was called back in the reserve when the Korean War started. I got called back in August, and that 1 year I was in service, and that had an interesting connotation there. About January of '51, Lorraine decided to come down to the base there
in Newburgh, New York. It was an Air Force base.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I got a job on the base.
She got a job on the base.
We worked in the office.
Believe it or not, we worked in the same supply room office, 2 desks apart. For newlyweds, God set that up really nice.
Yep.
And we were there for a year until August of '51, when we were discharged.
And we came home. We bought a home.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bitty home in
Cheektowaga.
Yeah. And that's where our first daughter was born.
Yeah.
And I think our son.
Yeah.
In '52 and '55.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our brand new home was $10,500.
Yeah, a big deal. Yeah.
And that for us, that was a big deal. Yes, it was.
And then we moved to a bigger home, and that was in the city.
Yeah.
And that's where Kathleen was born, our third child, in '58. And then we moved to West Seneca, where we opened up
our first
store business.
That's where we started in the store business in 1958, and we lived there for 25 years.
Yeah, and that's where our 4th son was born.
Yeah.
In '64. So we had quite our hands full.
Yeah.
Yeah, God was in our lives from the very beginning.
Yes.
We depended on Him. We looked for answers from Him, and so we had quite a time.
Yeah. As time went on, after 25 years in the store business, circumstances forced us to close the store, which we did, and then we sold the house on Seneca Street, and at that time we moved to Arcade, to Pioneer Christian Fellowship was our church.
God was with us all this time.
All this time.
All the things that we went through. My sad time was when we lost our daughter. Our oldest daughter died of cancer when she was only 58. And that was my hardest time. God kept telling me, "It's okay, it's okay."
Yeah. He's been with us all the way, all the time.
And everything has turned out well.
Right.
She's got 3 beautiful, talented children that she never saw develop.
In 2008, we were driving down Route 39 to the Springville Hospital, and it was a slippery day, and we had an accident, a car crash. We smashed into a truck smashed into us, and that was my first absolute experience it was a heavenly experience, because when we smashed into the truck, I could not open my driver's side door, and I looked at Lorraine, who was in the driver's seat, in the passenger seat, and she was unconscious. She suffered a cranial injury with cranial bleeding. I had to open the door, my driver's door, and it would not open. And right at that very instant, with the dust from the airbag still falling down, a person appeared on the outside and opened the door for me from the outside so that I could get out. And I got out immediately. I looked for the person to thank him, and there was no one there. That had to be God that opened that door for me to get out, and so I could open the door and help Lorraine. By that time, 2-3 minutes had gone by, and the rescue people came, and that became our 5 months recovery from the accident. I suffered a broken wrist, and Lorraine had a broken leg, plus the brain injury. We recovered very quickly. The first day after the accident, they had to take a CAT scan at the hospital, and to check Lorraine's bleeding on the brain and so on. But additionally, they found a 3-inch tumor on her right kidney, which no one ever knew that it was there. There was no prior indication, and it was malignant. So after her recovery from the accident, we had to make arrangements to have that taken care of. And in April, the accident was in November, and in April she had the kidney removed. Of all methods, laparoscopically, which I thought was almost a miracle in itself.
I was home the next day.
She was in the hospital 23 hours after a kidney removal.
God was in our hands at that time.
Yeah, he sure was.
Absolutely.
And then we recovered and so on, and it went on, and he's kept us blessed, and of course our life isn't over. Someday I plan to write a book. Life begins at 80. But I'm not sure we're going to get to that.
You're past 80. How about 90?
Well.
In our marriage, the main thing that we have dwelled upon is communication with each other. That is the most important thing, and a sense of humor. When you can laugh at yourself and your mate and everything, you can get through anything.
Yes. Yeah.
That's awesome. And I'm gonna make you kiss now.
You gonna make us kiss?
Yep.
You want a passionate one, or do you want just a
Whatever you guys
plain old on the forehead?
You can kiss my forehead too. That's funny.
Oh no.
I kiss you all over.
Yeah. Well, my forehead goes way back.